Turn that damn juice on!
Powered by Arkansas, for Arkansas. This is Inside Arkansas Live.
And welcome into Inside Arkansas Live here on this beautiful day here in the great state of Arkansas. I'm your host, John Neighbors, alongside Curtis Wilkerson and Andrew Ellis, and appreciate each and every one of you for making us a part of your afternoon this afternoon. It's a Remember Wednesday here on the show, presented by our friends over at Fayetteville Fly Coast. So we're going to eat some member berries today and talk about some of the things that we remember here on Remember Wednesday, dealing with the Razorbacks as well as some other things. So we'll get into that. We'll also have a vibe checking of the chat presented by our friends at Basis Health. Who the heavy hitter is, presented by HD Roofing Construction. Have some fun headlines to get into on a hump day, presented by BetSaracen. And of course, talk about all things going on in Razorback land and beyond. But fellas, how we feeling on this hump day, midway point of the week? How are the vibes?
Pretty good. I mean, I bet you guys know from the group chat, I've been salty since about 4 o'clock yesterday. But I'm loving hopping on here right now and seeing the chat buzzing with a bunch of basketball questions. Is portal season back? Like, have we flipped back to April? I'm actually excited about this. For a minute, I was like, oh man, here we go. But I'm a little bit fired up because we've been freaking begging, at least on the Pod at the Palace, for something tangible to talk about for like the last 3 weeks. Buddy, we got it now.
Yeah, I actually, Curtis, I saw our buddy Hazelwood last night, and I was like, I bet Curtis low-key was kind of buzzing whenever because now he has something going on. I was like, he'll play and pretend, but he's I know he's excited. But guys, if you want to know how out of sorts I am today on this Wednesday, I literally thought it was Thursday. And like so much so that, it's 12 or 11:57 or whatever. We're about to do the show. And I see the little thing there that says Remember Wednesday. And I almost said, hey, John, you want to change the banner, my guy? Because, it's Thursday. Let's get a banner for Thursday. And then right when John started the show and he said it's Remember Wednesday, I was like, it really is Remember Wednesday, though. Damn. Like, I really thought it was Thursday. I'm a little bit all over the place. You guys know I'm a big family guy. I love my family. I'm a father. I'm the youngest of 5. I've got a bunch of nephews, nieces, cousins, whatever. Family's a big part of my life, and I got some family members that are like, I'm thinking of them today, and I don't want to like go into weird details and be all weird, but there's a lot going on in the Ellis family tree, and so today I've been all over the place, but I'm counting on my coworkers to carry me through this beautiful production.
Hey, well, listen, that's what we're here for. And it's also glad to know that if I have a mistake on the show that you're not going to tell me. You're just going to let it roll. And I'm glad to know that. So, no, it does feel, listen, you're just buzzing because Arkansas and Tennessee start up on Thursday, man. That's why you're wanting it. You're wanting that series to get going. I feel you. But we got to get through Wednesday first. And, of course, there's a lot of things, as you mentioned, Curtis, in the basketball side of stuff that we'll talk about, which obviously, the whole Boogie Fland deal you talked about on Pod at the Palace this morning. And everything. It's just so fascinating. I think you even retweeted it from Paul Biancardi when he, about an hour ago, he said, Boogie Fland is back in college basketball. Arkansas is certainly an option, but not a lock. When healthy, he was very successful at Arkansas. Many schools are calling, as he is expected to be one of the guards in the country. I think he meant to put best guards in the country before that. Just one of the guards in the country is what he wanted to make known. But I think that when you talk about portal season being back, not just here at Arkansas, but man, there's a lot of fascination surrounding Boogie Fland and where he's going to end up because he is that good of a player. Yeah,
he absolutely is. He's arguably the top player in the transfer portal at this point. I guess you could make the argument for, RJ Lewis or PJ Haggerty or whatever. But I think in terms of NBA upside, he would definitely be that guy, in terms of who's in there right now. So this is interesting. It's from the very moment. And I tried to be as transparent as I could on the Pod at the Palace of like, hey, I understand that I'm reacting in the moment. And I understand that this is a hindsight take, and I understand I'm moving the goalposts. But things changed for me. I'm not going to lie. As soon as it went from Boogie's out of here because he's going to the league to Boogie's out of here because he's going to the portal and he's going to go play somewhere else. Like immediate for me, that pissed me off because I look at the areas that Arkansas theoretically would need to improve. It's depth. It's having some more experience in the backcourt. It's somebody who could make threes and who has done it in a college game. And whether Boogie's a great fit, because we've talked about the roster logistics with DJ comes back and then adding somebody, same deal with Boogie. Like it would be complicated. It's not unprecedented. Cal did it his last year at Kentucky. All that acknowledged, it just doesn't set right with me. Boogie Fland going and playing college basketball somewhere else. And so this stuff today is really fascinating, guys, because yesterday, Boogie's agent, who's Mike Miller, by the way, was sending out the directive to everybody in the national media. Hey, Boogie's in the portal. He's going to find somewhere else to play. Like he's looking for a new home, going to go find another school. And that was what was out there. So, and that's kind of what you have to operate on. So who put out the message to be in Cardi today? You know what I mean? Of all of a sudden Arkansas being an option there, as they should be, right? And so is Boogie going to wind up coming back to Arkansas? I mean, you know, like never say never. I certainly don't feel like that's going to wind up being the case right this second. But at the end of the day, can you guys show me, or if there's Kentucky people listening in the chat right now, because I'm sure you are, legitimate question, name me a Kentucky guard, a John Calipari guard, who's had the level of success, injury aside, that Boogie Fland had his freshman year, who dipped and played college basketball somewhere else next season. Find me that guy. People transferred on him, but it's because it didn't pan out. It didn't work out. Change of scenery. Show me the guy who's done the things Boogie did, who played college basketball somewhere else. I'm waiting.
Yeah, and my big reaction yesterday, because a lot of people, you obviously think of like, oh, what's your take on this? And like, really, I just surprised because we kind of knew this was a possibility. Of course, when he entered the portal, we definitely knew it was a possibility. But the whole time, I'm still sitting in my brain thinking, but at the end of the day, he's going to be playing NBA. He's going to go to the draft. Exactly. He'll get drafted 35th overall, and it will all be fine. Like, all parties will be fine here. Even when, we started hearing the murmurs of, Florida, St. John's or whatever, the whole time my brain still, if you would have asked me what I thought was going to happen, I would have said Boogie Fland stays in the draft and then we're all fine. So to see it happen like definitively, it kind of just like you say, opens your brain up to so many possibilities, because now we have to have some of these questions of looking at Arkansas's roster, which we all agree, not a complete product at the point. Like there's still room for something. It's just a matter of if it's Boogie or a wing or a big or whatever. And like you said, Boogie certainly fits some of those criteria. So it's a thing you have to consider. And we know John Calipari is 1,000% going to consider it. You remember when he put out that video and he was like, we wish Boogie the best in the draft, blah, blah, blah. In that moment, I really do not believe John Calipari in his heart thought Boogie Fland was going to go be playing college basketball somewhere else. And so I'm sure he's having that same kind of mental battle that we're all having right now. And so it's a fascinating conversation, and I can't wait to see how this sucker plays out.
He definitely didn't. I'm glad that he mentioned, or that you mentioned the that tweet that he put out there. The expectation, I can just tell you, because I've talked to people in the basketball facilities over there, the expectation from the jump has been that the dude was going to go pro. Like he was playing in the league. Now, could that have shifted over the last several days here? Have the communication lines been open? Yeah, probably so. But when he declared for the draft, they thought he was staying in the draft. When he entered the portal, they thought he was staying in the draft. That's been the case. And, like things happen with guys' stock and everything like that. I'm not going to say that they were completely blindsided with the news when it came out yesterday. Like, whoa, no way. Yeah. We better call him. But I definitely think the expectation was that he was just out of here and going to the league.
Well, I'm going to get a little bit personal on with you guys, and you probably know where I'm going with this. My reaction to it was kind of like having that ex-girlfriend that, y'all broke up and you didn't really want to, but you're like, hey, what's best for you? Because they were moving away, they're going on with their life, doing something different. And then after time, you're like, yeah, they haven't moved yet. They haven't left. They're still here. There's still a chance. What are you doing? Like, it's like, it gives the vibes like, okay, I don't want someone else to have you. Like, I know I can't have you, but I don't want someone else to have you either. And that's kind of how I felt about with the Boogie Fland situation. Was like, when he was going to the NBA, totally get it. Great. Can't wait to see you. And wherever you end up playing, wish you nothing but the best of luck. # pro Hogs, all that stuff. But then when it gets announced that he's like, he's actually coming back and he may not come back to Arkansas. I was like, well, hold on a second, my man.
Yeah,
I don't like that. I don't like the fact that you're going to, I don't care who it is. I don't care if it's Florida. I don't care if it's other team in the SEC. I don't care if it's St. John's. I don't care. I don't want you back in the basketball side of things in college if you're not going to be a Razorback. I don't want that. So even though I'm fine with the roster, got the new guards coming in and all that, like, I'm excited about it, but I don't want Boogie Fland to go elsewhere.
Yeah, no, I'm with you 100%, man. It's just, you can't have, especially in the SEC. And I know Ty Golden just won a national championship. You can't have Boogie Fland leaving you and going and playing for Ty Golden. You just that can't be a thing. And if that happens, and this is kind of my point on the Pod at the Palace this morning, is like I'm not even necessarily advocating for Boogie. You know what I mean? Like bringing Boogie back, although it doesn't sit right. It doesn't feel right. You know, imagine him in a different college uniform, but you gotta do something now. Like I just don't know how you could then justify just getting Carter Knox back and then sitting on your hands and going into next season when everything that Boogie kind of represents as a basketball player is still a, you know, quote unquote hole that you haven't plugged on your current roster.
Yeah, and look, it's 100%, and I'm sure we're going to do it. It's 100% fair to have the questions of, hey, how does this work? Because you've got all this going on. Like, we can have those conversations, but I do need people to understand, if Arkansas were to get Carter Knox to not go to the draft and get Boogie to not be in the portal and stay at Arkansas would maybe probably be the preseason #1 overall team, or like top 3. Like that would be a very big wave. You saw how much of a wave Boogie entering the portal made, how much like him saying he was going to come back to college, like that. If he announced he's staying at Arkansas, like that's going to send waves nationally. Like, that would be a big deal, and it would honestly be a fascinating situation because you'd really be able to hammer home that retention. We're going to be, you know, old. We got all the pieces. We've got everything type of narrative going into the season.
Well, and I think that you kind of mentioned it right there. That I was going to be my next point. I don't think, at least I don't hope, that Cal cares about perception because I think he's established himself. But it does kind of beg the question for me. It's like, okay, so how is this perceived? If he goes to Florida, how is the perception of Cal in this whole situation? Because I'm not going to say it's going to ruin his reputation and it's the extreme, but it's also not like the best look, you know, of like, hey, you know, we want this guy or we love this kid and we wish him nothing but the best because he's going pro and that's what we want. But then when he's making a decision where he's like, okay, I'm not just coming back to college and I'm not just going to go and play for a lot of NIL money, which is the assumption, but I'm not going to do it at the place that I was just at, that I played for in the NCAA tournament when I was hurt all that time. And that I did have a lot of minutes when I was healthy to play. I don't know. Again, I'm not saying it's an indictment on Cal. It's just, I think perception's a key to a lot. And the public, maybe national perspective, is going to be like, well, that's weird. Why would you not go back to Arkansas if you're Boogie Fland and Cal? I think people are going to be asking that question.
Yeah, no, for sure. And that was a big part of my thought process was it does when you're going to the NBA, whether you're ready for it or not. That's just an entirely different conversation than if you're going to play college somewhere else. It changes the optics, man. And that stuff does matter. It really, and that's why it immediately, to me, and what I was saying is like, I feel like that turns up the heat a little bit for them to make some more moves, to round out the roster. Like it's hard to justify, not addressing some of the things that they haven't addressed. I know they got the freshmen coming in and that's great. Not discounting those guys at all, but there's a level of proven production that you're losing here still, that they're, you know, kind of betting on themselves at the moment with these young guys coming to being able to come in and replace it all that they haven't addressed in the portal. So that's that, you know what I mean? And again, I go back to the Calipari thing. Like these guys like that don't leave Cal, man. And like I've been taking note of the names that people have been throwing out there because I asked for them. Devin Askew averaged 6 points per game as a freshman, and he's on like his 15th. Like that is not Boogie Fland. Johnny Juzang averaged less than 3 points per game his first year at Kentucky than he did. That is not Boogie Fland. Keon Brooks was at Kentucky for 3 years before he transferred. That's not Boogie Fland. Like I'm waiting for that Calipari freshman guard who came in and averaged 15 points and 6 assists per game that didn't go to the league and went and played somewhere else. And somebody else is like, that's not fair because the portal's new. Portal's been around, my guy. Like we're many, many, many years into this and it hasn't happened yet. And I don't want the first time for it to happen to be at Arkansas, frankly. So I mean, it's just where I'm at, man.
Curtis, I'm so glad you did that because when I saw Askew's name, I'm like, okay, what the hell are we talking about? Like let's relax a little bit. But the closest thing I can think of, you remember Sav Wheeler? He's the closest thing you can think, and he averaged like 9 and 6. But
and
he was just
started
like
at Georgia,
right? And he was like second in the SEC in assists. Even he is like not nearly as good or well, received as Boogie Fland. I also think, you mentioned, John, how like he went from, if you go to the draft, you're one of Cal's guys. If you play somewhere else, you're not one of Cal's guys. I think that is a very fat factor in this thing, because like Cal talks all the time about how changing these kids' lives, changing these kids' families, like having these guys that like view him that way is so important to him. And by the way, that's why everyone loves him. Like it's a very big part of who John Calipari is and his story. And so again, you add in the production, you add in Arkansas still needs to make moves. You add in the fact that John Calipari loves having these guys, these prominent figures that are his guys. He loves Boogie Fland. Like he loves the young man. He loves his family. I think he's going to get back. I just have a hard time imagining he's just going to like sit out of this sweepstakes. And like you said, Curtis, if they don't, which is like, we can have that conversation well within your rights to not bring, think about the fit, but like you have to do something else. You can't just, sit tight and be like, all right, we're good with what we got, which is kind of the messaging, we heard a few weeks ago of like, hey, they like what they have. They're not in a hurry. That mentality changes right away.
Yeah. Yep.
All they have is all they need. Right? That's what the mantra needs to be. I will say, and going to the player that's gotten thrown out there, I am not comparing it and not even saying it's close, but who's the first player I thought of, and he's not even the same position. You guys remember Kyle Wiltshire? Remember him?
Oh yeah.
For Kentucky. He was like one of those players. I know he wasn't a guard or anything like that, but he was like one of the only players I felt like I remember was decent maybe at Kentucky and then transferred out to Gonzaga. Because I was looking up his stats. He averaged like 10 and 5. So still, but not to the level of Boogie, not even saying it's close, but just that shows you how rare it is and how it just doesn't happen very often.
And he was also at Kentucky for 2 years.
Oh, yeah. There you go. Yeah. It's crazy.
Gonzaga?
Yeah. Went to Gonzaga.
Yeah.
But you're right. He was pretty good his second year there.
Also, Wiltshire's, I know that's like a deep cut name, but like that's one example, but like he played like 5 years in the NBA. Like that's like the closest comparison you can possibly find, honestly. And it's a guy that a lot of people have not heard of.
Yeah. Well, he played in those awful seasons for Kentucky where they only went to the NIT. So he had to go. He just had to go.
All right. And I see a lot of people here, and you're right, who are doing the thing about like, well, we have, bigger needs elsewhere, better fits, at other positions. All that's true. I mean, I'm with you. Like, you're not telling me anything I don't already know. I've been talking about it every day for like 90 days now. It feels like, I understand. I get that. But what do you think is more likely? What kind of bidding war do you think John Calipari is more likely to get into? One to get Boogie Fland back, or one to go get Jameer Watkins? What do you think? I can tell you the answer. If you want to add impact pieces to this roster outside of Carter Knox coming back, that's your pathway to do it.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if Carter Knox does come back, then he's really not about to enter that Jameer Watkins sweepstakes over a guy like Boogie. I 100% agree.
Yeah.
I want chaos. Just have Boogie come back to Arkansas and have Carter Knox come back to Arkansas and just chaos.
Now,
give them all.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not unprecedented. I mean, it's what is so different about, Boogie, DJ, Darius Acuff, and Malik Thomas versus, DJ Wagner, Rob Dillingham, Reed Shepherd, and Antonio Reeves. I mean, it's they figured it out then, and they got popped in the tournament, whatever, but they won like 30 games and they made it work. You know what it's called? It's called having a depth chart with talented players on it. I know it's a novel concept, but it's what programs do. So I mean, it's not the craziest thing in the world. Now, what you have to think about here is how crazy is the money that other people are offering Boogie. And it's fair to look at Florida and say, man, it's actually a better opportunity for Boogie. Wide open space right there in the starting lineup with the defending national champs. He's got great bigs to lob it up to. A knockdown shooter in Xavier Lee. Like it's a prime position and opportunity for him there. That's far less complicated than what it would be at Arkansas. That's objectively true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think, we talk about fit a lot. I don't think that, like you said, you pointed to that example of their team at Kentucky a couple years ago, like high level players, even if they are similar skill sets, like especially in this day and age of modern creative offensive play, like having 3 or 4 guys on the floor that that can handle the ball and will. If you get them to really click, like all of a sudden you have good spacing, you've got playmaking everywhere. Like it really can raise your ceiling as a team. You still have a lot to figure out, and that's up to those guys, and it's up to Cal and his staff to kind of mix the pieces together and those personalities to mesh. But it's like I'm okay kind of betting on the upside if you can do something like that. And so it's easily, it would not take me long at all. And I think if Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas are the guys that Arkansas thinks and hope they will be, I don't think bringing in another talented guard is really going to get in their way too much. I think they will just round out, like they will find a way. Like if they are really that good, you find a way to make it work, and you all are able to eat. I mean, if you're winning 30, games a year, you're scoring 89 points a game. There's a lot of people that can eat in those settings.
There is, man, and I feel like right now, like let's say they don't get Boogie and they wind up getting Knox back, which I still think is going to wind up happening here. Like if all the conditions work out the right way, yeah, you're just fine. But you are 100% dependent on those two freshman guards being legit, because you don't have a backup plan. You don't have depth. You don't have a contingency. Like none of that exists. If it doesn't pan out for one of those guys, or you're right back in the same situation, if you get some more bad luck with injuries and all that. And my whole point is, with all of this, the entire offseason, it's not questioning Cal or, oh, I think these guys are going to suck. No, I don't think that at all. But I'm operating from the standpoint of why the hell, if you were Arkansas with John Calipari and, the Tyson Chicken Man, like all those factors there, should you be in a position to ever have to do the mental gymnastics with the roster? Have we done enough? Do we have enough shooting? Do we have enough that no. The cup runneth over here. That's the roster should never be the damn question with John Calipari here at the Razorbacks. Does it mesh? Does it work? Do the pieces fit? Are the X's and O's there? Those have always been the questions. It's not the freaking roster. So like there's no situation here in my mind where we should ever be looking at this going, well, if this works out, that works out, this works out, that works out. If this guy gets better, if this guy improves, if this guy can play this position and that position, yep, they could be really, really good. No, bullshit. I'm not accepting that.
Yeah. And I'll tell you this, I know we'll get to the chat, but say if it worked out to where you got Boogie Fland back and something crazy like that, or even Carter Knox, I don't even care about fits. I'm not even going to think about that. I'm just like, hey, you got a talented roster, like you said, Curtis, there should never be that case. And if that was to happen, where that's the roster where you got Boogie Fland and Carter Knox back, that it's gonna be all right. Well, hey, listen, this is Cal. I'm trusting him, and he knows it. I want talent. I want the best players. I want to have all of that. Because guess what? If you have a bad night or if a bad stretch, you're going to have somebody else to rely on. If you got, the freshmen that are struggling, well, you're going to have some experience there. I just don't understand why anybody, and I don't think anyone really truly is, at least hopefully not, but I don't know why anybody would be like, nah, don't want Boogie. Let him go. Well, we're fine. No, I want all the players.
It right now in front of my eyes.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like anybody that's actually like I just don't understand why and what reality you'd want to live in. Why you wouldn't want that.
What I can already hear and see in my head is BBN 7 games into the season when Darius Acuff's averaging like 6 in a game, and they're like, "Told you, he's the new Reed Shepherd, man.
We tried to warn you.
Feel bad for the kid. He's the new Reed Shepherd. He might go 4th overall." It's like,
Boogie Fland's the new DJ Wagner, and you still have DJ Wagner. You
got a double DJ. You got a double DJ, man.
Listen, I just want them to be as good as possible, man. Like I'm hungry. I'm starved for a national title contender, and that's not to say that they couldn't be that, but I don't want to be in the situation where everything has to go exactly right. Like I saw. And I'm not trying to compare programs here, but I saw a Nate Oates quote that I liked. And he said, "Hey, we got 11 guys on scholarship right now. And, if we went into the season with these 11, I'd feel really good about what we had, but we're still shopping. Like I'm still looking to add. There's still guys who are coming out of the draft. We want to add to this roster. We don't want to leave anything to chance, especially after what we experienced last year with the way injuries impacted things. And they had multiple injuries that impacted things for them. And that's just, I think that's a good approach to have. It's not the only approach to have. It doesn't mean it can't work the other way. But I like that line of thinking.
Yeah.
I mean, in this day and age, I don't know how you aren't always at least kind of eyeballing, just testing the waters here and there, seeing who you can process and who you can bring back.
Yeah. I want them all. I want the talent. I want the smoke. I want the talk. I want it all. That's all. Like, I just forget all the other stuff. Like, I want to see it. And also because, I want Boogie to be back, because the last time I saw him, he had his hoodie and his like zipped up. You couldn't see anything, and he had his headphones in. We didn't get a chance to talk to him after they lost. I'd love to know, how he's feeling and how everything's going. And I don't want to hear it through Florida Gator media. I don't want to do that. So make it happen, Cal. I know you got that money. I know you got that chicken and all those good checks that need to be deposited. Just make it happen for us. So
erect chicken.
Yes. Yeah. None of that flaccid stuff.
Hey, he's not working with the flaccid chicken, man.
No, there's nothing flaccid when it comes to the chicken that Cal's dealing with.
Man, I needed a day like this. Let's go.
Yeah.
Fired up again, man.
Hey, that's what Wednesdays are for. So let's go ahead and get into the chat and do a little vibe check, because I'm sure it's lively, presented by our friends over at Basis Health, where they're changing the way healthcare is delivered by providing mobile medical visits to the comfort of your very own home. A doctor will come to your home for urgent care, primary care, IV hydration, and so much more. It's Basis Health. They are here for you when and where you need them the most. Learn more today at basishealth.org. All right. So a couple of the chats that are getting lively in here, because there's also, folks, we're going to talk about Arkansas and Memphis might be in a thing too. So there's going to be some basketball-driven show today, which we're always for and always in favor of. Yeah, I know Curtis is just, his nips are hard, man. He could cut diamonds with having basketball shows here. So, but I'm for it too, because honestly, we love talking baseball, but when there's no game, it's you just get fired up for Tennessee, and then football, whatever. Better than talk about the Razorback raffle for back-to-back days.
But we got two baseball shows coming.
Yes.
Yeah. Tomorrow leading up to the game. Well, maybe not as much Thursday, but Friday we're gonna be like, wow, Arkansas beat Tennessee 52-3. What are our thoughts?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure people will still be pissed.
We'll be at Alumni Hall on Friday. I'll be wearing the baseball pants. I'm just gonna go full uniform.
Dude, get some cleats in there, some spikes.
Is there a sporting goods store somewhere in Fayetteville? I guess like a
Academy.
You might need to pull some strings with the boys, but
maybe I'll go to Academy. I'll go to the Academy by B-Dubs and go get some just like all white baseball pants, XL.
Yeah, let's just do our best impersonation of Nate Thompson and just show up to Alumni Hall. Just look like Nate.
I'm going to need a lot of creatine if I'm going to do that.
Yeah, a lot of creatine and a few extra curls that you're going to have to be putting in there for the weights. But all right, let's go ahead and get to some of these questions and chats that have been flying in. Let's see. John Sullivan says, Curtis, how do you think K. Tyson would fit with the current roster, including Knox?
Perfectly. No, I really do. Now he's like a low risk, potential high reward type of guy who could fill kind of that backup 4 spot that you're looking for and add shooting. Like I have no problem with that. It would come at very low cost. I think if you're looking at depth type of additions there, that's a great move. And it's one of the few guys who I think could check multiple boxes for you that's still available. Now, it depends on what you look at, because for him, like he was at North Carolina last year and he never really caught on in their rotation. It was never a great fit. But I think he's a really good change of scenery candidate. He was a dude who was at Belmont the year before, so mid-major, and was just an absolute freaking sniper. And he's 6'7", 220, and just shot the absolute crap out of it from 3. And a guy like that who's looking to kind of reestablish himself and has learned how to play a role, on a high major team and everything, wouldn't be coming in. It wouldn't be somebody that would scare Trevor Brazile away from his minutes or anything like that. I think that would be the perfect type of ad. Unfortunately, to my knowledge, Arkansas hasn't been connected to him at all. But no, I think he would be a really good fit. Someone like that on the roster. That's a good name pull right there.
Also, Austin from work says, I know on Pot of the Palace, Curtis said we should have a wealth of talent on the roster, but is there any chance that we all expect too much of Tyson and that Cal is running into money issues like everyone else is?
Broke boys, man. Yeah. I've been joking about it on the Discord. It's like, maybe they're just broke, but at the end of the day, they're definitely not running into money issues. Like this is still it's an expensive roster still. I mean, they had to, up the bag to keep these guys that they're keeping. And you think Carter Knox, when he comes back to school, that he's not probably making double what he was, his freshman season. All that stuff is real. those 2 McDonald's All-Americans ain't, they're not coming here for the meal plan in the dorm room, Malik Ewan and Nick Pringle, that like this, you got a dude who started multiple years in the SEC and, maybe the best offensive center in the portal. They spent money now. But I think they just haven't gone crazy with it. And I don't think it's a John Tyson thing or they don't have the money thing as much as it's a John Calipari philosophy thing. Because how many times has he said, like, if you're only in it for the NIL, then I don't want you. And he means that when he says it. And it just shows this season. And they're in a different position with some of the retention they have. And they're being particular about what they add. But they're not getting into these bidding wars, man. They don't do it. And that's why when I think about a guy like Jameer Watkins or whatever, would Arkansas like him? Would they like to have him? Would he be a good ad? All those things are probably true. But are they going to keep running that money up against, North Carolina and Kansas and Baylor and whoever the heck else might want him just to get him when he's nearly a clone of Carter Knox as it is? Probably not, man. So I don't think they're broke. The money is also not unlimited, but if they really want a guy, they can get the funds to get him. Like if Cal goes to John Tyson and says, yo, we could get Boogie back, but here's the number, he'll get what he needs to get it done.
Also, like I said, got a lot of people coming in for the basketball side of things too. K Hump says, just for fun, if you had to choose one, who would each of you choose to be on next year's roster, DJ or Boogie? Yes, I know Boogie is not going to be a Hog, but for the content, let's hear your thoughts.
I want to commend K Hump for how the question is worded, because a lot of people do just like simply they'll be like, Boogie or DJ, and you're like, you kind of give us that out where we can be like, well, in a nutshell, this, but really, like, they have DJ already. They're not going to process them, blah, blah, blah. The way that this is worded kind of gets right to it where we have to give our thoughts. Curtis, I think you've said your thoughts on this before. In a vacuum, if it's just 1-for-1 trade, no draft picks thrown in, no cash considerations, no prospect to be named later, just a 1-for-1 trade, I'm probably going Boogie. I just think he has a much higher upside. And look, you could argue DJ has a higher, more consistent floor, better two-way impact. I can get all that, a little bit more experience. I can buy all that. I just feel like Boogie has a chance to really, if it all goes well in the right situation, could really be like an elite player in the SEC. And DJ, I feel like, is more stable of like, I don't think he's going to double his production or anything like that. Boogie, I could actually see being a like 18 a game type of guy consistently in the SEC. I mean, he pretty much was that as a freshman.
I think, I think it's a great way to answer it there. And I agree with you 100% on that. I'm fine with DJ though, if everything else works out the right way, because I love the idea of the third year SEC guard. I love the leadership that DJ brings. I love just the reliability, like he doesn't have the ceiling that Boogie has, but what you're going to get out of him. I love the mentorship that he can bring to those other freshman guards. I would be over the moon with it right now. If this roster was finalized with adding the things that Boogie brings to the table in other spots. Like if you had added a made college 3-pointer to this basketball team, I'd be a little bit more excited about it. If you had a 4-man besides Trevin Brazile, who's logged a minute on the college basketball floor, I'd be more excited about it. Like there are ways where I can talk this into DJ being maybe not the best player, but the best fit for what they need here, if they filled everything else out accordingly, and the roster's not finalized yet. So maybe they wind up doing that.
Give me DJ. I just want DJ back. I'm a big DJ guy. Plus, I have his jersey.
You got DJ back.
So. Yeah, I know. I'm saying but if I was to choose between the two, I would want DJ because I got his jersey, so he has to come back.
There's something about choosing the Hog that just it matters.
That's right. I like this from Exclusive Cards. It's been a while, man. I appreciate you. He says, would be a letdown over the next 2 weeks if Boogie goes to Florida, JJ Andrews goes to Mizzou, and Carter balls out and stays in the draft. Yeah, that would suck.
That'd be a kick right in the balls, bro.
Yeah, and a Duke Thero doesn't participate in the combine and stays in the draft anyway. Like there's a non-zero chance that all those things happen. Although I think they'll get Carter back.
Yeah,
I was about to say Thero. I feel like by the way, everybody was like, "Oh, it's interesting that he's not participating in the combine." I thought that meant like for sure he's getting drafted, right?
He is. Yeah, that's
like the people like who else didn't participate in the combine? Cooper Flack.
Yeah, right. Yeah, clutches. They're very good about strategically choosing what they let their guys do or don't do, and they're happy with where his stock is right now.
We can tell them 40 if you don't jump in front of them.
Yeah,
yeah, man. And unless you have like an injury type of exception, then you're kind of required now to at least do all the testing stuff. You don't have to do the scrimmages, but you have to do all the testing stuff. But because of that knee, he's able to get around that loophole of not having to do all those things.
Also, too, I like this from Davey, just like Jeff Goodman, quote, Cal has hurt Boogie's career by pushing him to stay at Arkansas, or Cal has lost one of the best players to the portal because he's lost his touch.
One of those things has probably already been said today. So
and it's probably on a graphic too, like just with Mark Pope on there somewhere. Like it's just going to be, it's part of it, but at least they're consistent with it. Yeah. Let's see. Phil also says, bring them back. I can see minute distribution. Carter definitely back up 4 then though.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's just like trying to figure out how to get everyone, the type of minutes they deserve. It could start with not playing DJ 38 a game. And then you could work from there. But yeah, I mean, Carter's your backup 4 anyway, right now, whether Boogie comes back or not. Carter Knox is your backup 4 unless they address that. So, yeah.
And also, like this from Hazelwood, he said John has Colin Cowherd level analogies. Well, that's the greatest compliment you've ever given me, Hazelwood, because that dude was my inspiration in sports talk radio was Colin Cowherd. So thank you.
He unironically, I would say if I were to list like my top 7, the most influential sports media figures in my life, Cowherd is probably like number 6.
Yeah.
I used to listen to him a lot. He would always be big on, this is why drafting a quarterback is like going through a divorce.
Yeah.
What? Like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. And also he always reaffirms himself when he talks. He's always like, Tom Brady is the greatest quarterback of all time. He is. Like he would always confirm it to himself. So, yeah. But thank you, Hazelwood. I'm taking that as a compliment. Let's see. Also, to Unknowns is over here saying Curse needs to move to Kentucky. You tell your mama to move to Kentucky. Like, Curse doesn't need to move anywhere.
I don't know if that's somebody trying to ship me off or if it's a Kentucky person trying to steal me. I don't know what's going on here.
Man, might be NIL.
I will not be taking my talents.
The lines are blurred between the two fan bases at this point.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Also, Nep just says, I would love to see Boogie in an early season Nelly role, but he would never go for that.
Let me tell you, why would he not go for that?
I don't know.
Like, that's pretty much what he did when he came back in the tournament. He just didn't make the shots, but like, it was kind of pretty much that.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know why, like, what role would he expect to be like in? He's like, I'd love to see it. Yeah, and Boogie.
He's a combo guard that has that excels as a 3-point shooter. That is like the perfect type of role for his skill set. Yeah,
I think we assumed that just because he had the ball in his hands so much early in the year that it would be the exact same thing. There's multiple ways to skin a cat. You know what I mean? It's like somebody's going to have to stand in the corner at times. Somebody's going to have to run off of those floppy screens. Somebody's going to have the ball in their hand. It doesn't have to be the same person every possession. And you're not going to have the same dudes on the floor every possession. You know what I mean? So yeah, he could hang out there and be the catch and shoot guy. He could be the one running off those pin down screens and getting shots. He could also be the one who was second in the SEC in assists when he went down and had the best assist turnover ratio in the league. Who's navigating the offense while the other guys play off the ball. He could do whatever he needs to do.
He's a much better ball handler than Nelly. So he would dribble more, like just like Nelly. That was more of like, I don't think Nelly was dying to create offense off the bounce necessarily and set up his teammates. That's not like a big part of his game. It would look a little bit different, but I think in theory though, DJ's still kind of being the lead point guard with Boogie being like the combo. Like I think that's very in play. That's what they did in the tournament. I know that it's a little bit different, but it's like it's very much a possibility, I would imagine.
Are we gonna rule out just a different offensive system?
No.
Probably not gonna happen.
Yeah, no, I don't think they're gonna like, yeah. Chalk talk ain't gonna be talking that much.
Yeah. I don't rule out anything in that case, but we'll continue to get to your chats, folks. But again, it is a Remember Wednesday presented by our friends over at Fayetteville Fly Co. It's a local small business based right here in the city of Fayetteville where they offer apparel, for outdoor enthusiasts and weekend warriors who enjoy everything about Northwest Arkansas and what they have to offer, including fishing, hiking, biking, hunting, and so much more. They also carry a full line of hats, long and short sleeve shirts, outerwear, and more, and free shipping on all orders of $50 or more. We're 5% back to local nonprofits supporting nature conservation efforts. And the great thing about it, if you go to their website, fflyco.com, use that code HOGSBY20, get 20% off your purchase. So get your fly on with Fayetteville Fly Co. today. Before we get into that, I was going to wait until the end, but for crying out loud, we got exclusive cards coming in. But wait, we appreciate you doing that, exclusive cards. And thank you for the super chat. And yes, we have officially hit 10,000 subs on YouTube, which means some of you jerks are going to unsubscribe just to be trolls, and we're going to drop back down. I'm already calling your bluff, so don't do it. But congratulations, fellas. We did it. We landed on the moon. We made it to 10K. Now we can retire.
Yeah. Nice. It's big time, man.
Now we're done. All right, guys. Hey, thanks. We appreciate it.
Yeah, just we're moving on. It's all we wanted to accomplish in life. But thank you, though, exclusive cards, and thank you to everybody.
Heck yeah.
Subscribing. Awesome. We appreciate you. Appreciate you so much. Also, too, part of the Remember Wednesday, there's a few things I wanted to get into, but since we could use this because we're going to talk about the Alumni Hall question of the day, I wanted to play this video because, Arkansas and Memphis basketball used to be a thing. It used to be a thing. And people have been wondering for years, decades even, when is Arkansas and Memphis going to play each other once again in basketball? Because they're playing each other in football this year. But when's basketball going to happen? Especially with Cal and everything. Well, Cal, playing this video here, he talked a little bit about it when they're doing their Razorback Roadshow, and here's what he had to say.
We talked about an exhibition game, and I think that would be something, with St. Jude's involved, if they could bring back my players and do something that celebrated that group, I'd have a great interest in that. And I think Penny's doing a great job. I mean, it's, having all free agents at the end of every year, and the leagues that are above you are coming down to grab your guys. And it doesn't mean your program's below them, but they're in a bigger league that has more resources and just makes it hard. And that's why I said he's done a great job.
So, exhibition game against Memphis and Penny and the Tigers. Your thoughts?
Go for it. I mean, sure. Why not? I wish it was a regular season game, but I like what they're doing with these exhibitions where they play one really cool one at home and then they travel to get that experience, but they do it like regionally, like they were we drove down to Fort Worth for the TCU thing last year. That would be cool. There's some storylines there, as he just talked about. And I'd be all for it. And maybe that's like the vehicle you need to get the regular season conversation started. Cause I feel like they probably should play semi-regularly. Memphis plays every SEC team. Like they have a full SEC schedule. They could have dual affiliation in their league and the SEC if they wanted to. They just never play Arkansas.
I really love this idea. I love it a lot. I see no downside. Like, I really don't see what the downside would be other than just like Cal getting booed at Memphis or whatever. Like, that's kind of, we like those types of storylines. We like polarizing figures like Penny Hardaway. It seems like I don't really know what he and Cal's relationship is like. Seems like it's fine. Did he kind of low key poor shame the Memphis program? He's like, it's been tough, with everybody taking their players because they're in such a shitty league, man. But outside of that, he's done a great job. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah, I'm gonna say Cal is great at that. It's just putting out the subtle little things like that. But I did like the fact that he's almost put like stipulations on it where it's like, for the charity and all that. But as long as they bring my players back, as in like, they better make sure that they honor my players, but just as long as everyone knows that they're my players. He put his own little stipulation on it. But I know I love the idea of it, whether it's exhibition or if it's something that's done in the regular season. But I tweeted this out. It's just it would be so funny to me in the fact that the reason Arkansas and Memphis stopped playing each other was because of John Calipari in Memphis. And now the reason that they may play each other once again is because of John Calipari being in Arkansas. So make it become full circle if that happens. But that would be great. I think it would be awesome. And I think that, people would really get hyped up and enjoying it for many different reasons.
You know who else went to Memphis? Mike Miller. or he coached there. I don't know. Did he go to school there?
No, he went to Florida.
Yeah, he
Okay.
coached
But
there.
he did coach there.
Yeah. I know, didn't he play at the Grizz too, right?
That sounds right.
Okay. I mean, who knows? He probably played for every team in the NBA at that point in time. So, yeah, that's actually a perfect little segue to our Alumni Hall question of the day, presented by Alumni Hall. Be sure to check out their website, insidearkansas.com/alumni hall. You get to shopping for all the great Razorback apparel that you could possibly want. I mean, they got everything there. And what's really cool is that we're going to be there live Friday, live at noon, and we'll get you ready and geared up for Arkansas to take the series against Tennessee that night on Friday night, of course. But they're going to have all the different apparel, whether it's hats, jerseys, polo shirts, button-ups, all the high-quality stuff. And if you come in using that code HOGS20, you'll get 20% off your purchase. We're also going to have some really cool giveaways at that point in time as well. So check it out. Again, Alumni Hall, 3417 North College Avenue. Shop them online at insidearkansas.com/alumni hall using that code HOGS20 for 20% off your purchase. So giving with Arkansas and Memphis, do you believe that they should play every year? And if so, where? I think we can go ahead and say that almost everybody says Arkansas and Memphis, according to the votes, should play every year. But I've left the options out there to do a home and home with them as far as just an alternating site in North Little Rock, kind of being like maybe a halfway point there, playing it in, was it Verizon? No, it's not Verizon. What is it? I don't know. At this point in time, it's probably TD Ameritrade for all I know. Simmons Bank. I mean, it's just always changing names. So play there or play in the FedEx Forum, where pretty much every game that they played back in their history was always in the FedEx Forum. But as of right now, not necessarily surprising, but 72.5% of you say yes, play a home and home alternating series.
Yeah. Play a home and home alternating series. You'll win every game in Bud Walton Arena, and you'll take over their arena when you go to Memphis.
That's a lot of trips to Memphis, though.
I mean, that's fine. It's not that far.
I do like the idea of playing them. I guess maybe for a little bit we could test it out. But I feel like eventually, like after like 2 trips to Memphis, we'll be like, all right, this sucks.
I feel like I'd rather do that than go to play like Oklahoma State, like yearly.
For sure.
Yeah. I mean, if you're going off of regional, because I think a lot of teams have regional teams that they face pretty regularly. I don't know if it's to the level of a Memphis and an Arkansas, but there's a lot of regional opponents that will pop up there. But I think they should play. I think it should be home and home. I'm all about home and homes. Neutral, it could be cool if it like Madison Square Garden when they played Michigan there this past year. That's cool. Playing Duke in Chicago will be pretty cool. But it doesn't have to be all the games. Have some sticking with the home and home and make college basketball atmospheres great and all that stuff. So, but yeah, that overwhelmingly wins the vote. But a little bit surprising, well, maybe not, but 15% of you said you'd rather have it in the FedEx Forum every year in Memphis, with only 9% of you saying having it in North Little Rock. So just slightly more people thinking it should stay in Memphis, which I thought was interesting. But I mean, I guess maybe that's what they're used to.
Little Rock makes sense, but I don't know. I kind of I feel like the Little Rock game is kind of, it's like, that's it. That's like its own thing. Then the Memphis game becomes its own thing. Like you can kind of space out the non-conference, the world tour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All over the United States, Memphis, Little Rock, and Fayetteville. That's all over.
Have to take the regional jets to get to those places and to those setups. So
will we make this rivalry cooler than Kentucky, Louisville, you think?
I think so. Okay. I think there's more direct connections there because it's the Cal factor, Cal and Memphis. And then you got Penny Hardaway, for crying out loud. I mean, who wouldn't want to watch that? But I like the charity idea. Wherever it gets played, it'll be fun. But who knows? Maybe it'll turn into a regular season deal. But if you got to start with an exhibition, and if it's in Memphis, hey, we'll go. We'll hang out there. We'll see what it's like. We'll talk to Penny and have some fun with that too. So
we'll be back at the casino too.
Yes, yeah. They got that. They got the Bass Pro Shop you can go and check out. So got all the stuff that you would possibly need when it comes to that. All right. So continuing on the chats, because I know we'll get to our heavy hitters here in a little bit as well. But also, this comes from Ben. He's like, hey, Curtis, do you think that the point guard room will be too much with Wagner staying and Acuff coming in? I'm in between about it.
I think you got to have a depth chart to survive in college basketball. Like I think you've got to have guys who are capable of playing, multiple guys who are capable of playing a position. So no, I don't think it's too much. Wagner's played off the ball in the past, and he'll do that here. No, I'm not concerned about that too much.
Yeah, you basically have like 3 guys for 2 spots more, and you just do the distribution. And there's other guys that'll play at the 2, but it's like, no matter how it shakes out, it is gonna be tough to do the minutes. But it's like the cream rises to the top. They'll figure it out.
Yeah, every other college basketball program in the history of man has figured out how to operate with more than one player at a given position. Mm-hmm. John Calipari didn't invent the minutes distribution system here. It's like there are plenty of ways that this could be done with having more than 7 bodies on your team. It is possible. I promise that it can be done.
I know it's a different sport, man, but like I just think that some of the people that may feel that way, where you can't have like certain positions or whatever, I was like, these are probably the same people that if Felix Jones was trying to come to Arkansas and transfer, and they'd be like, no, we don't want him because we got Darren McFadden. It's like, yeah, I mean, yes, Darren McFadden's great, but having both would be really cool. Because they're not like Darren McFadden's not going to take the ball every single snap. He's not going to play every single time. He could get hurt. There could be things that pop up. Wouldn't it be nice to have a really good running back in place of him and to help him? Kind of the same concept, different sport, but same concept. Like it's nice to have good players in case something happens.
And Curtis, what's crazy about it is you have multiple plays at every position, and so Arkansas has that in the front court where you've got Ewan, Pringle, Brazil, and maybe you had to add another body to that, and it's like there's going to be a distribution there.
They don't.
It goes hand in hand with the guards, and it's like I don't know. Like I feel like you like we say, like they'll figure out those combinations, whether it's with Trevin at the 5, Trevin at the 4, whatever. Like whatever they got to do, like it kind of all goes hand in hand together, and you just figure out what your best 5 is. But Boogie Fland, I'd imagine, could find a way to be in that best 5.
Which that entire conversation just got shot down by Travis Branham over at 24/7, which I knew was going to happen. That's just the way that this works. One report comes out and then another one comes out, and he said that Florida and Kansas and Will Wade, but Arkansas is not expected to get him back, which it's kind of what we hinted at. But there you are. See, the one that's right is it being Cardi? Who the hell knows? But yeah, I mean, I just. It's interesting to me because I felt like a vast majority of the season, our conversation was about, dang man, like why did they do this 9-guy thing? Even Cal was like, yeah, we needed more, and we definitely needed more. And now all we're really looking for here is add a 9th guy, like just get back to where you were a season ago. And so many people are like, well, where's he gonna play? My God, what is it? I mean, what are you thinking? I mean, what are you trying to do here? Are you trying to play 45 guys? I mean, good Lord, man, you being a little bit greedy? It's like, nah, I'm actually just asking him to do exactly what everybody was bitching about all last season and not actually address the issue at all. That's all I'm asking for. It's wild, man.
Yeah. Also, a few other chats here too. Let's see. Okay, what was this context? It said from Rod, my girlfriend is leaving. Damn, she will probably have my kid. Got to pay some child support. Like, did one of y'all highlight that one?
I think that's just that's what he's got going on.
Oh, okay.
That's brutal.
Sorry, Rod. Rod 1. That's unfortunate.
I have a feeling that she's in the wrong though. For sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're on your team in this one. For sure. Let's see. Also, where was that one at? Okay, yeah. So this one comes from Ricky. Says, don't see why not bring Boogie back. Need all the talent that you can have. We needed more talent last year on the roster, so why try bringing him back? I think that's kind of what was been talked about.
A guy with a brain, Ricky Thompson.
Yeah,
early though.
Guys in here, man.
Yeah, I really hope that's really him in that avatar too, because that was pretty sweet. Pretty sweet setup there too. Also, Kings wants to know enough of the Boogie talk. Let's get to more important update. Curtis, how's OG Slim doing?
He's gonna be all right. We'll leave it at that though. Appreciate you asking.
Yeah. And also too, this one, Sean just wants to know, he's like, off topic here, but the Razorback marching band has been named #1 marching band in the world. Based on what and who? Like, give me names. Give me polling. I don't know if you're just trolling on this, but okay.
There's like Elf, world's best cup of coffee. Congrats, guys, everybody. Hey,
yep.
I mean, they are the best in sight and sound. So that is what they have been named, the best in sight and sound.
That's true. Yeah, it's like, so somebody put the AP polls. Like, yeah, I guess I missed the AP poll for marching bands in college.
Coach's poll had him third though.
Yeah, but yeah. What's the BCS computer rankings have them at? Like what's that situation?
Their RPI wasn't very good. They don't travel well, so it hurt the metrics.
Jeez, good grief. Yeah, appreciate it though, letting us know about it. All right, let's go ahead and get into our heavy hitters for today, presented by our friends over at HD Roofing and Construction. Storms can hit unexpectedly, so be sure to contact HD Roofing for your peace of mind with a free inspection. When you choose HD Roofing, you can rely on that professionalism, that top quality materials that they're going to use, as well as expert installation for all of your roofing needs. You can give them a call today at 501-428-0429, as well as check out their website at hdarkansas.com. Appreciate them, appreciate our partnership with them, and appreciate the fact that we get to talk about our heavy hitters each and every week here on Inside Arkansas because of HD Roofing. All right, so I'll go ahead and start with my heavy hitter. Somewhat off topic, but I think it was pretty important. Shout out to Pete Rose and Shoeless Joe Jackson, both those guys, in a sweeping decision where Rob Manfred of MLB said that both those guys will be permanently removed from the ineligible list. So I am just really happy. I've always felt like, I'm not a huge baseball guy, but I've always felt like it was ridiculous and dumb that someone who has a record like Pete Rose and hits, it's never going to be touched. No one's ever going to beat that record. For him to not be in the Hall of Fame because of the betting on baseball, which, if you want to say something about it, he still went out there and hit. It wasn't like performance enhancing stuff. I mean, he still had to get the hits. So I'm glad that got removed. But it's kind of sad because it seems like it's too late now that he's passed. Wish they would have done this a lot earlier. But at least it was done. At least he's got removed from the list. And I'm really happy for him and the family, I'm sure. So that was my heavy hitter, seeing that happen.
This was the most predictable thing of all time, that they were going to wait until he died to honor him. You know what I mean? Like, this is very, very predictable. Also, it's funny that the MLB, sponsored by FanDuel and presented by DraftKings and all that, BetMGM owns everything, that they are the ones that are like, you know what? Let's go ahead and not shame the guy who placed a bet on himself.
Yeah, it is kind of ironic there. So, but yeah, that one's my heavy hitter for the day.
I've been paying attention to Boogie Fland and not watching TV or reading. So I don't really have a whole hell of a lot.
I can see it in Curtis's face. People have not been hitting heavily, have they?
Yeah. I mean, Carter Knox, he balled out at the combine, shot it really well, in the drills, which is good to see. Look at John. He's mad as hell, dude. Carter shot it well in the drills. He was athletic. I mean, he had a damn near a 40-inch vertical, so he tested top 5 there, which is really good. Measured out well. I think he was tied for 6th in his height to wingspan ratio, which means he was like +5 in his wingspan. So he's really showed well for himself, and the scrimmages are starting now. I don't know if he's playing in the one that starts at 1:00 or in the ones after that, but I'm getting ready to pull it up here. Now, is he a heavy hitter to the point where he's worked his way into being a one and done and staying in? No, I don't think so. But he's showing well for himself. He's helped himself out here so far. He's looked good.
Yeah, he doesn't need to hit that heavily. Hit about 280. A double here and there. You don't need to hit that hard, Carter Knox. I got to go with the heavy hitter, a guy that I mentioned that he was an honorable mention on Weekend Winners on Monday's show of the Bombastic Podcast. Reese Robinette. Dave Van Horn had some good things to say about him. He was basically asked, like, hey, are you going to do a matchup thing at first base where whatever, left, right with him and Pepe, maybe? Is that what you're going to do? And Dave was like, well, hey, I'm going to play the best guy. And right now I kind of think that's Reese. And I thought that was cool for him to say that. And it's true. I mean, Reese, last weekend he didn't light it up. I think he went 2 for 9, but he drew a couple walks, had a couple clutch hits. Like, that's kind of, and he plays really good defense at first base. Like, that's kind of all you need to be the best first baseman for Arkansas this year. And Reese Robinette's one of those many guys that we've had at Arkansas, one of those many athletes that is in that weird range of, depending on who you talk to, he's either the most overrated player or the most underrated player. Because you have one side that's like, this guy, it's a trap coaching staff, it's a conspiracy to hide him, that they won't play him because he's the best first baseman in the country. And then you have some that are like, He's a D3 player. Like, why is he here? He doesn't need to be at Arkansas. Why are we wasting time playing this redneck kid? What are we doing here? And neither side is correct. Like, he's a solid SEC player. I've been saying it for years, man. I saw this dude hit left on left against Hagen Smith, hit a double off the wall. Obviously, that's one at bat. I'm not saying that's everything, but it's like, if you can hit as a sophomore against Hagen Smith in his like heyday, this is right leading up to the season last year. And so that's why I was surprised Arkansas redshirted him a year ago. I understand why they did it, because Dave had the mentality of, I don't want to just have you on the roster and play you without you being a real everyday piece. And he didn't think he was going to be an everyday piece last year. I get that, but credit to Reese, man. He stuck around, and we've talked about him a lot after his big series against Texas. But
do we lose him again?
Temporarily.
Yeah. Well, I feel like he got his heavy hitter out there, so at least we'll know the name of it. But once he joins back with us, so we can let him finish on that. But yeah, so I think that another one I wanted to throw in was, I always love Charles Barkley, and I love his honesty about everything. And some people were pretty fired up about his comments on McElroy and Kublik in the morning, because he was going on there and he was talking about NIL and everything. And he said, quote, "This is how crazy our country is. We've actually screwed up college athletics, which used to be the greatest thing in the world. How do you screw up college sports? I'm not against players making money, but I think the model that they have now is unsustainable, blah, blah, blah." But then he said, "I've said it before. I've given more money to Auburn, legal or illegal, than any athlete in the history of the school. And the notion that I'm going to come up with a couple of $1 million every year so that we can be good at basketball or football, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And it's crazy." So I always appreciate the honesty of it. I love it because I need Quinn in here, because some Auburn fans took some exception to that when he was talking about that. I'm going to come up with billions of dollars to give so we can just be good at football and basketball. I ain't doing that. I think he speaks for a lot of people. That just, it reminded me of almost with Arkansas. And anytime that Arkansas needs money in people's minds, they're just like, I just call Jerry Jones. Just call Jerry Jones. He'll get it for you. It's like, just because you have somebody who loves a team and they're, in this case, a billionaire, doesn't mean that you could just have them on the bat phone and call them up and be like, "Hey, we need $10 million. And Jerry will be like, "All right, done. Let me wire you the money." It's not as simple as that. So I'm appreciative of Charles Barkley saying that, and saying that it is pretty crazy, but also don't expect him to be given all these millions of dollars just for the football or basketball program to be good, because he's not going to do it. But again, his honesty I always appreciate, and his unfiltered nature.
He's like the most transparent guy in the world, and I love that. And he was in that situation. I was listening to him with Dan Dakich. And I don't know if you guys saw that, but he was asking about ESPN and working with Stephen A. and those guys or whatever. And he was just basically like, "Dude, this is silly. I don't know what it's going to look like, but they're not going to be able to tell me nothing, man. They can't fire me. I make too much money." And like, he's just going on this whole thing about it. He does not care, man. He's going to call it how he sees it, call it like it is. And he did in this situation too. It's pretty funny. I've always admired Charles Barkley for a lot of reasons, honestly. But this is definitely one of them, man. The honesty, it's good stuff.
Charles Barkley is one of the greats of our society. Like, he really is one of the best. And I like that he said, he's like, "I've given as much money to Auburn as any."
I guess Andrew's got something uploading or something like that. He's in a tough spot right now that Ozark Go is going to get him. But one of my favorite things too. We'll get to chats and other things as well. But one of my favorite things as well is hearing Charles Barkley whenever he talked about ESPN, which I guess ironically enough, they're going to be working for ESPN. Is like, they're not going to work me like a dog and not pay me, because he's going to be over there on all the ESPNs and all of that. So love that comment from him. And honestly, like, this day and age, especially in college sports and college athletics, we need a little bit more of that. Type of nature. So let's see. Also, a few more chats too, because I know Razorback baseball is going to be going on this week. Tomorrow, actually, is when the first game is. And I had to remind myself of this. Luckily, Razorback baseball and social media, they're really good at that whole thing. And they put it out that tomorrow's game with Arkansas and Tennessee is at 7 p.m. on ESPN2. So it's going to be a little bit of a later game, but national TV. To me, I don't know, guys. Does it matter if it's on ESPN2 or SEC Network Plus? Because to me, everything's streaming nowadays. I guess it's just a difference between getting on the ESPN app or not. But I don't know. I just love how people are like, oh man, it's on ESPN2. It's a bigger deal. It's like, is it? It doesn't seem to be a difference to me.
Not for us, like normal people who stream stuff, but like for the context of society, it does very much matter because you're on at the bar, you're on at the restaurants, like you're on, and people that do have cable or flipping through can watch you. Much bigger audience if you're on national TV for sure.
Yeah, well, you got that going for you. So if you're going to be having to go into work on Friday, it may be a little bit of a late morning because it's probably going to be a late game, because then Friday 6:30 p.m. will be that game on SEC Network Plus, as well as Saturday's game being at 2 p.m. on the SEC Network. So that's going to be what's on the docket for the final regular season series with Arkansas and Tennessee. I'm sure it'll be pretty intense on that, but we had some people here in the chats though that were wondering about, like, for this. Double H says, Andrew, do we see Dietz more in a more leverage situation this weekend, or do you think Dave eases him back in?
Well, I would say more leverage situation than a 12-3 game in the 7th inning, like it was the other day. But is it going to be as leverage as he's closing the 9th inning? I don't know. So it's going to be somewhere in between those two things. And I'm being a little bit facetious here, but yeah, I do think they are. They feel pretty comfortable about him. Dave was asked about him today and like brushed off the question as like he was like, yeah, he's fine. Yeah, he threw whatever 4 days ago. Yeah, he's fine. Like no, like kind of brushed it off like with him and Coyle, where he's like, yeah, they like, why would they not be fine? They threw a combined 20 pitches. Like, yeah, like they need to get in there and pitch. Like he's treating them as like they're normal players of the team. Now, of course, he's still a guy who has 3 innings worth of experience in his collegiate career. So I don't know if it's necessarily as simple as he's now the game 2 starter, which they have not announced, by the way. Gage Wood's going to go game 3. But I do think they would like to get him in a somewhat real situation, but they've also got a lot of guys who are meant for those type of roles.
Also, too, Hog On It wants to know if there's any update on Jackson Wiggins.
I'm going to assume this is Carson Wiggins. But if you do want an update on Jackson Wiggins, he's throwing the ball really well for the Cubs. He's got to be getting promoted any day now. He's got like a 1.2 ERA in high A. Like, just call the dude up to Double A. Like, he needs to make his way up there. But Carson Wiggins effectively shut down for the season. It was a strain. They did not find the tear in the in anything in his elbow, which is good. They diagnosed it as a strain, which doesn't necessarily mean you're really out of the woods from having to have like a legit procedure, but he's not going to throw a ball anytime soon. Like he probably wouldn't really start throwing like bullpens and stuff if it would be like 6 to 8 weeks. Like he's not going to do anything for real. And so by the time like the season will be over, I don't imagine they're going to rush him back. And you need to take as much care as you can with an arm of that caliber that next year will be draft eligible. You want to really be very careful with that. So I would not expect to see Carson Wiggins this season.
And also, too, I like this from Heartbroken Hog. He says, will John Tyson eventually get sick of bankrolling the Arkansas roster every year like Charles Barkley?
Nah, not while Cal's here, man. It's and they keep getting return on investment. Like, but those guys they're friends and buddies and everything. And yeah, I'm not worried about that.
That's why I kind of respect, and I'm sorry my internet was effing up when I was trying to talk about Charles Barkley. I love that he said what he said, but like, it's not his job. Right. By the way, if John Tyson does get sick, he is well within his rights. You know what I mean? Like, it's not his actual duty to us. He's doing it because he loves Arkansas basketball, because he loves the university, and we obviously love that. And I agree with Curtis. Like, he's going to keep doing it. But I also love that, like, we shouldn't have that expectation of, like, let's just find the rich guys in our fan base and, like, be mad at them for not paying us money.
It's also going to become less of a thing for him to do once the revenue sharing stuff passes, because like he'll still be able to be involved and everything like that for sure. But like all those, because he's either contributing to the revenue sharing cause at that point, which everyone's going to have, or those other outside NIL deals have to go through the clearinghouse and get approved, and someone else is setting the market value for it and everything like that. So it's not to say that he's going to go away and that Arkansas won't be able to dip into that well. They will. It's just going to be probably quite a bit more regulated if they don't get the pantsuit off of them by trying to cap student athletes. And I'm sure those lawsuits are coming there too, but theoretically that's kind of what it would look like. I think
I got to say, we're not us. I feel like society, and with John Tyson, maybe not as much. We really don't need to be pocket watching to the level. I understand why we have these conversations, but like, and I know we all say like, dude, I mean, if I had money, I'd give it to everybody. I'd solve world hunger if I had $1 billion. It's like, yeah, but it's like these dudes don't get rich by just making willy-nilly purchases. Like you said, Curtis, there's going to be a lot of thought that goes into it. It's going to be pretty, like, I don't know if it's something we can just be like, yeah, he's just going to bankroll everything.
Right.
Well, and also too, I'm not saying that Charles Barkley and John Tyson were in the same situation, but to me, it was almost more like a package deal. Where for Tyson, it was kind of like, all right, well, the reason Cal's coming here is because of Tyson, and Tyson's going to provide this, and Tyson's going to do this and do that. But I don't think anything was written in stone of like, all right, well, if Charles Barkley in Auburn, if we ever get to this point where we can start paying players, then Charles is going to be part of this and given a bunch of money. It's not that. The expectation is there, and Cal would not be here and would not want to remain here if Tyson wasn't going to help him out with that. And if that ever happens where Cal ends up being disappointed or leaving or whatever, it means that him and Tyson no longer are friends, and they're having a fit and they're just not paying any more money. So let's just hope that doesn't happen, and then we don't have to worry about it. Also, speaking of football, Razorback Hawk says, what about the wide receiver Jace Brown leaving Arkansas like his buddy Madden? Shocking to no one that this was going to happen. He was the player, 3-star wide receiver out of California, came along with Madden. Wasn't enrolled in the spring, but everyone's like, gee, wonder what's going to happen to him. Well, he's not going to make it to campus, and I don't know what he's going to end up doing, but it ain't going to be at Arkansas. Maybe he ends up at UCLA with Madden, but yeah. I mean, I just saw it. It was almost like, all right, about time that it was made public, but I think everybody kind of felt like that was going to happen.
Yeah, for sure. Not surprising. I meant to bring that up yesterday because that broke yesterday. I don't know that's necessarily breaking news, but it was reported yesterday right before we started the show, and I completely forgot to bring it up.
Yeah, they released him from his agreement, which, hey, I mean, credit to, I'm sure he was like, hey, before I leave Arkansas, let me make sure I do this right before they get the lawyers on me. But also, this is gonna be one of those days in Razorback sports where we're like, where were you when the 3-star wide receiver who never ended up making it to campus left and went back to the West Coast? Where were you?
Yeah, it's just a day that lives in infamy for Razorback future history, all of that. So, yeah, I listen. Football right now, I know scholarship limitations or how many scholarships you're going to have or players or everything. It's going to be fascinating with all the stuff that happens. But I think the roster is pretty much done, because I had somebody DM me. They're like, hey, do you think they're going to add this type of player? Or are they going to add this type of positions? Like, man, at this point in time, if they're going to add anybody, they might as well just add like a walk-on that played high school football out of the intramural fields to just be a body, because I don't think you're going to add anybody of note that's going to help, play or like just walk right in. Well, because wasn't it the guy from Monty Harrison? Didn't he show up like in fall? Wasn't it very late?
It was in the middle of maybe late summer, early fall. Yeah.
Yeah. And to me, that was probably the best example of maybe someone that could end up playing a lot, and we did not see any of it. Didn't happen. So, but yeah, timing is everything. Let's see. Also, Colton wants to know a question, Andrew. What are the chances of winning the conference title in baseball for Arkansas?
I mean, not great. You're 2 games back from Texas. And as we know, every year we always freak out about this, and we have to remind people, they do not break ties for the SEC regular season title. Like, if you and a team have the same record, y'all are co-champs. Like, it's not you have the tiebreaker because Arkansas did sweep Texas. And so that's not going to be a factor. Or LSU having beat Arkansas, if they end up being on top, that's not going to be a factor. Texas is playing Oklahoma, who has a good pitching staff, but is kind of skidding right now. I would imagine Texas probably wins that 2 out of 3, in which case you would not be, I guess, if Texas wins 2 out of 3, you're not going to win it. But Oklahoma, I don't know. They've had some good series wins. They've got maybe the best pitcher in the SEC. They could win that game 1. So if they win the series and Arkansas sweeps, then you would be co-champs. If Texas gets swept, okay, there. But I wouldn't be holding my breath. I wouldn't go into the weekend being like, we got to have this,
Mm-hmm. I don't think it means anything, literally nothing in the grand scheme of things of winning the regular season title. As long as if it means, I guess something, I guess you could have a banner or 2, but just get a national seed. That's just what you need to do.
They don't need that.
No. Real quick though, I know we'll have some other headlines, but I want to go back to the We'll Remember Wednesday, because it's just as far as the transition and everything presented by Fable Flyco. But I did want to bring up the Remember win of Arkansas, Tennessee 2021, Tony Vitello and Dave Van Horn and that whole scuff. I'm not trying to be over dramatic to this, but if you think about a single moment that has had more of an impact on the thinking and the rationale and the behavior and the viewpoint of Razorback fans towards one individual, where everything else has been completely fine towards you. That moment right there, man, changed so much. And it's like, to this day, there will be people that don't want Tony Vitello as the coach because of that one moment. And it just cracked me up because I saw somebody put it up on Instagram, I think, re-watching it. It was an absurd thing. It was really funny because also went back during COVID times. You had Tony V with his gator on. You couldn't even know what he was saying. You couldn't even read his lips. But you just got Dave ripping him a new one. And after Arkansas won, and then Dave brushed him off, like just everybody. And it was just such a funny moment that had such an impact that we still talk about it 4 years later to this day. And I'm sure you guys remember that too, like when all that happened.
Well, Dave kind of sunned him right there, like that was the beginning of the sundom. And yeah, that whole thing was crazy. Now I'm trying to remember, because I wasn't even like, I knew who Tony Vitello was, but I never really thought about it that much. And that was kind of the beginning of Tennessee's rise anyway. Was Tennessee and like Vitello, did they have that reputation yet? Like, or was that the first little like sort of hothead type of moment? Because now it's like, looking back on it, it's like, oh, that's, comparatively speaking, it's kind of mild to the daily antics over there. But
so nationally speaking, Curtis, that year was definitely like the first kind of year you could sense it. It was the next year where Tennessee really became like the villains, where they got the weird hats, the daddy hat, and all that. So they ramped up. That really was at the beginning. Now, from the Arkansas side, everyone that knew Tony from his time at Arkansas knew he was a little bit of an eccentric personality. Sure. You know what I mean? Driving I can't remember what car it was. He had like a Lambo or something, or like a Ferrari or something that he was driving, and he would like be blaring Rick Ross pulling up to the baseball facility. Like and he wears, Nate Thompson has some good kick game, by the way. And Nate Thompson in the video, when you go back and watch it, is like lingering because he's clearly in that situation of like, if this dude puts hands on Dave, we got a freaking problem. So, it's funny. So my understanding of the situation is Tony basically made a joke, and it was like one of those too close for comfort jokes as they were shaking hands, and Dave did not like the joke. And then Tony, I think, kind of had that because I don't think Tony was trying to start a yelling, screaming match. And I think that's why in the video it kind of looks like Dave is like sunning him, like you said, like he's kind of just because I think Tony really like wasn't trying to get riled up, but said something and then immediately realized I shouldn't have said that, and got him a little riled up. And there was a very because you always had the narrative of, you're winning with the players I left behind and whatever. And I think Dave was kind of already on edge about that, of like, you better not say anything because you took 3 of our recruits when you left, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I love that moment just because of the perception of it. Because all we got to see, no one really knew of like, oh, well, this is about a recruit and everything. Everyone was like, hey, okay, so what was said? Because we watch Dave Van Horn all the time. For Dave to get that fired up, everyone was like, dude, he must have said something gnarly. He must have done something shady, because they'd played each other 2 games before that. Never a dust up, never anything said. So people were wondering.
The series was chippy, though, I will say. Like, I remember whenever Cops came in and closed. I guess he closed on Friday and closed on Sunday, and they hit a walk-off home run on Saturday against Jackson Wiggins. It was like a 500-foot nuke. And that was a tough one. And so it's like they celebrated pretty good then. They may have done like a little it was like a very competitive, close series. And so I think it just kind of was a little bit of that added into it as well, because this was after the Sunday game. And so, but it wasn't between the coaches, and publicly we all knew they were friends. We all knew they liked each other. That's what was so cool about it, because it was the first time we saw anything like that. And it definitely was a big part in Tony becoming the villain of college baseball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I remember that series well, and I think someone brought it up because our guy Eric Kane of On 3 and Locked On Vols covers things Tennessee. He put out the article of what Tony V said about leading up to the series, and the quote was, "It'll be loud, good baseball fans that know the game, but they'll also be loud. It'll be a different style of loud. They'll be well coached. They are going to play hard. Miss that place." So I'm like, next head coach. Next
Tony,
head coach.
You dirty dog, Tony.
I love
good fans that know baseball. I miss that place. Get out of here, dude. That's a troll job right there. That is a straight up troll job.
I love a different style of loud. I love that statement.
Oh, dude. Listen, I'm telling you, and he's really, I think he just likes to he likes the cat and mouse game with a Tennessee fan base too. He likes to rile them up and be like, hey, why don't we maybe get a little bit louder? It's a Friday night in the SEC type of thing. I think he's really trying to like throw, like, incite them a little bit, trying to build. Honestly, though, but seriously, he's trying to build what Arkansas has in terms of atmosphere. He's trying to build that at Tennessee, and he's doing a good job. Like they've made a lot of progress already. They got a stadium expansion coming up. The attendance is breaking records. But I think secretly he knows deep down there's a ceiling on like atmosphere and environment. Obviously, as a team, he won the national title. I think he's fine there, but he definitely does miss that atmosphere, no doubt about it. He's a guy that thrives in that type of stuff.
Yeah. Finishing the quote, I just to make sure I, provide context and everything too. If I don't get blown up with freaking ads, it says, it'll be loud. Good baseball fans. He says it'll be a different style loud. I mean, I know everybody knows about the trip to Oxford had a unique flavor this year. And then, a couple of other places we went were really loud, but they're going to be different there. They're going to play hard. Dave Van Horn knows what he's doing on game day. History speaks for itself for that reason. I don't know quite where they're at, but they're probably ranked higher than us and have a better record. But it's probably because they have good players and top-notch coaches. So I think maybe if I'm wrong, if anything, it's nice. I don't think I've recruited any of those guys. I mean, we lost a big game there and some of the parents. It was just a weird flavor there for a few years of that. And same with the University of Missouri. And now I think it's on the field in the stadium. I think enough time has passed, and the flip end of that is I think those relationships, just because time has gone on, have grown. Believe it or not, behind the scenes, they've grown even stronger. And I think that there's a serious and real appreciation there, at least on my end. So for what it's worth.
Wow.
Playing nice.
Man. Okay.
Next head coach.
Yeah.
He's really leaning into it. Like, I mean, he's definitely, because he's not an idiot. He knows, like, if he says a lot of these things, like, it's going to kind of get people talking. It's going to be a thing that that catches our attention. And congrats, you got our attention.
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued.
I need to get on a Tennessee message board and just see how do you feel about that? It reminds me different circumstances, but and we've talked about it, like the Texas Tech football coach who was doing the whole thing about just loving on the Razorback. Grew up a hog. I still got my hog hat,
Just over the top.
Yeah. Wow.
And listen, I really do think that Tennessee winning the title last year, it lessened the odds of Tony V becoming the next head coach of the Razorbacks. But to say it completely rules it out is unequivocally false. Like, it definitely, I think in the moment, a lot of people kind of did think, oh, damn, now that he's won a title at Tennessee, he's never going to leave them for Arkansas. And I do not believe that to be true at all. Not saying it's definitely going to happen. He is an extremely serious candidate for if and when Dave Van Horn passes that torch to somebody, and he knows it. We all know it. He knows it. Tennessee fans should also know it. That doesn't mean it's going to happen, but it's like, as soon as that day comes, that is going to be there's a reason why he will be item number one on the agenda.
Oh yeah. He's going to be the head coach. I'm guaranteeing it. It's okay.
I like that.
Start reporting it. We'll have some of your chats and some headlines too here, presented by our friends over at BetSaracen, the number one sports betting app in the state of Arkansas. You can check them out by going on your iPhone or on your Android and downloading the app of BetSaracen, or you can go to BetSaracen.com. Get to betting that way. You got all the specials going on, NBA playoffs, futures, for college football. They got everything. So check them out today. Again, BetSaracen.com. Download the app on your iPhone or on your Android at BetSaracen. So, all right, a few things too in the chat wanted to bring up. And some people I love my favorite thing, and I'm not hating at all. My favorite thing in the chat is when someone just started the stream and the first chat that pops up is something from what we talked about at the very beginning of the show. And I'm like, all right, well, you got a little bit of catching up to do, but we'll see. But either way, I saw that, I guess, was it Isaac Trotter? I saw this was on social media. Said Arkansas wing Adu Thero was frank about his stay or go decision at the NBA draft combine, saying the door is not completely shut, but we should know more this week. For me, the door is kind of closed, but my circle around, they want to hear more great things to finally shut that door. So
what?
Yeah, that's a lot of nothing to me, but it sounds like somebody that was just, maybe we'll see, kind of, probably not, but could, there's nothing there, but it was just a quote. So take that for what it is.
Hey, I mean, that's something. So you're saying there's a chance, Yep.
He's like, I want to close the door, but it is not completely closed.
Yeah. He says the door's not completely shut, but the door is kind of closed. It's like, okay, sure. It's glass half full, glass half empty there. So whatever.
What could you? I hate to be this guy. Do you mind reading that one more time?
Yeah. The door is not completely shut, but we should know more this week.
Okay.
For me, the door is kind of closed, but my circle around, they want to hear more great things to finally shut that door.
Okay. Well, what are you going to hear this week if you're not participating?
I want to hear one specific team say, we love you and we want to.
I think so. And so the other part of this here, because I mean, obviously he did media stuff today, but they've got the team interviews and everything as well. So maybe he's meeting with some teams over the course of the next couple of days and looking for that final, guarantee or promise, or we really like you here or whatever, before he closes up shop. Because it's not like he's participating down there to the point where he's going to impress people or whatever. So that's funny. That's a great quote. And the thing about it too is like, you knew you were going to get asked that question. And these guys are coached on how to respond to all these things. And so I think he probably went off script a little bit there, but
yeah, I can see him. This the way he talks is when we've interviewed him, like at the NCAA tournament and stuff, just him saying that I would have loved to have been there with the camera in his face, be like, what? Just like, can you say that again? Whatever it was that you said, please let us know. But yeah, that was pretty good. Also, I want to get your guys' thoughts on this. This is the upcoming biopic, if you want to know, of with John Madden, with Nicolas Cage playing John Madden and Christian Bale playing Al Davis. That's the screenshot.
Wow. You got me hooked. I'm in.
I don't know.
Christian Bale playing Al Davis is crazy.
Yeah. Well, and the thing is, like, Christian Bale, both are great actors, but it's like Christian Bale has played in so many insane movies where he's morphed his body and he's just like that crazy and very dedicated actor and all of that. And I've always seen Nick Cage as kind of just like great actor, played in great movies, but he's got such a shtick to him. So we'll see how he sounds like Madden if he plays Madden. But either way, for you sports fans out there, if you want to go and check that out, that's going to be happening here soon. So, but I'm all in. I'm all in on seeing that. Let's see. Also, in some other news there too. Actually, no, we already talked about that one, so we don't need to do that. But either way, a few of your chats though before we roll out of here for the day, folks. Dakota wants to know, Andrew, who will be the Friday night starter this week? I think they go back to Gabe.
If I truly do not know. And I want to make that clear. I'm going to do an episode breaking it all down, and we're going to talk about every single option in depth. I do not know. Deep down in my gut, in my loins, I feel like this is the time for Aiden Jimenez to become a starter at Arkansas. I think Gabe Gackle's a realistic possibility. The game being game 2 kind of psychs me out a little bit because, like, normally they don't have to make this decision until game 3 on Sunday. With it being game 2, it's kind of throwing me off. Gabe, I mean, look, if you're going off of just like who's the best pitcher available, it's Gabe Gackle. But I think he has kind of entered that territory of too valuable in the bullpen. And Aiden Jimenez has now shown like, hey, maybe it's just better to start him rather than bring him in a 4-2 game in the 7th. I think his skill set makes a lot of sense as a starter. I think maybe piggybacking the game with those two guys in whatever fashion might be the move.
Yeah, I'll give him a shot at this point in time. Because did Dave announce that it was, of course, going to be Root? And did he say it was like a 2B determined?
Would throw in game 3 because they want to keep him on the same rest because he threw obviously Saturday last week. So they're just going to keep him, which, by the way, Gage Wood, I don't want to say it's going to be a full 115, 20 pitches, but like I think he could throw like 90 pitches if all goes well. If he throws 5-6 innings and he's rolling and pitching the way that he's capable of, I could see Gage Wood throwing like 90 pitches.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll find out this weekend. Hopefully they win game 1 and they can have a little bit of cruise control there too, which, by the way, also I like to read the weekend promos of what they do for tomorrow at the game. But baseball card pack 3 for the first 1K fans. I'm sure there's been other ones too, but it's fan appreciation night, which I love. That's my favorite one. Fan appreciation night, but no details on. Just it's fan appreciation night.
You gotta appreciate them.
If you're there, you're appreciated. In fact, Friday is that way too. But they're going to have pregame senior night ceremony for all the seniors, as well as the Hogs Friday, where you got to wear your island attire on Friday. And then the Brew Pig Suey, which apparently is a big deal and people love, is happening on Saturday. Tusk is going to be there, as well as the replica bullpen cart. First 1,000 fans. So you get a replica bullpen cart.
Sweet
there. Yeah. So as well as an Armed Forces Day. So
You
got
the Brew Pig Suey being this week. They were supposed to do it the Missouri weekend, but it got rained out. The problem is they do the Brew Pig Suey to try drive up attendance. They are not short on attendance this weekend, or they should not be.
No. Tickets are hard to come by. That is for sure. And also, I want to give a shout out to my guy T-Bob Abear. Got him a new job. Got him a new gig. Former LSU great. He's been on ESPN 104.5 in Baton Rouge. He is officially working now for Barstool Sports up in Chicago. So I want to give a shout out to T-Bob. He'll fit right in, I think, for that type of vibe.
He's going to do a great job. I mean, I like T-Bob, and I consume Barstool content. He's way better than like 97% of those dudes.
Yeah. I think he's going to do great, and he'll fit right in with it. So either way, well, fellas, any final thoughts before we roll out of here for the day?
The raffle is the current jackpot is $22,270 with the estimated prize $11,135. So I just want to give an update on that as we get into the series here. So there's that. Also, the combine scrimmages are going on right now. I think Carter plays in the next game, but they're doing the thing that they do on ESPN where like the entire first quarter of this game has gone by, and it's been a Cooper Flag interview. Like you haven't even been able to watch the dudes play, so that's a little bit frustrating.
The game is like in the bottom quarter.
No, it's you can just see them run around in the background. It's like Seth Greenberg, and you got to look between his head and Cooper Flag's head to see what's going on. But it's on ESPN too for anybody who's interested. But I was afraid that was going to be the case. It's been my biggest complaint. I love that they do the combine coverage, but they'll do all these interviews and they'll start bringing coaches and stuff in there. And you see like 30% of the actual action, but they'll be out there shortly.
Very good. I don't think I have any final thoughts other than Woo Damn Pig, Proud Damn State. And tune into the Bombastic Podcast.
There you go. So usually it comes in threes for that one too. So, but yeah, folks, again, we appreciate all of you finally hitting that 10,000 subscriber mark. We appreciate all of you subscribing to us and being a part of Inside Arkansas each and every day, churning out the content, whether it's Inside Arkansas Live, Pod at the Palace, the Bombastic Podcast. Got it all right here on our YouTube page, as well as wherever audio podcasts are found. You can find our podcast there as well, but you can check out our social media at Inside Arkansas. You can check out our website, InsideArkansas.com, for all the latest and greatest up-to-date information. And be sure to come out and hang out with us at Alumni Hall on Friday, starting at noon. Come in. We're going to have some giveaways, some really cool giveaways, as well as a little bit of a promo code, Hogs by 20% off when you purchase when you come into Alumni Hall. So it should be great. But either way, we appreciate each and every one of you listening and watching in. For Andrew Ellis, as well as Curtis Wilkerson, I am John Neighbors. Same sports show, same sports channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody, and we'll see you then.